Good morning to all of you, and since we are running a little late, I'll try and make it very brief. But my basic purpose in talking AI at any of Dr. Bhatia's summits is to give you the state of the art at this point of time. As all of us know, there's the World AI Summit that just got inaugurated in Delhi, and many of us will be speaking there end of this week. But that is all about countries, states, entrepreneurs doing great work. The purpose of sessions that we do here is always to bring it down to the level of the corporate, saying what should corporations look for when it comes to AI. And as all of you know, in fact, there's been a lot of discussion on, is India so far behind in the AI race, and China and America are so much ahead. I mean, if you look at, if any of you are techies will remember that Jensen of NVIDIA is now a multi-trillion-dollar valued company. Sam Altman, of course, OpenAI, speaking at the summit this week. I mean, these are all real technology people playing at the infrastructure layer of AI. And if any of you heard and continue to hear our Honorable Minister Ashwini Vaishnav, Ashwini makes it very clear that in a 5-layer architecture of artificial intelligence, which goes, if you look at the bottom, is the energy layer, because don't forget AI is a huge energy guzzler. On top of that is the infrastructure layer, which is where the NVIDIAs of the world play in with their GPUs, etc. On top of that is the data layer, which is obviously the core of any good AI solution. Then there are the models that are being built around AI. And finally, there is the applications. And Ashwini rightly says that India will play primarily in the application layer, because that is where the industry I come from, IT services, the $300 billion industry, came from, and the model layer. So building models that are relevant to the global south, building models that are relevant to the applications in this country. So I think that is really what we're talking about. So let me quickly take you through a few slides. And as I said, leading in the era of AI does not mean being NVIDIA. So I just want to make that point. All of you who worry about India, India has a huge play, and that will actually come out in the next few years as many of us start experimenting with technology. Very quickly, I think one good thing that's happened is, I was reading a recent report, and it says that 100% of progressive organizations today are talking AI. You will hear from my very good friend and the DMD and the CTO of State Bank of India, arguably one of the best companies in India today, on what they are doing with AI. You will hear from a young entrepreneur on how he envisages AI completely transforming human resources. And today, in the next 3 sessions, I think you'll hear a lot of people giving very different perspectives, but all coming up to the point that AI is going mainstream. It's no longer a nice, catchy thing to talk about. It's no longer anecdotal. It is changing the way we live, the way we work, and the way we will actually build the world as we go forward. So what you're seeing here is the enterprise AI horizon. First of all, costs are falling crazily. There's no question about the cost reduction of almost 20-30% every year. Performance is rising. You're seeing real results out of AI and increasing accuracy. The old world of AI hallucinations, etc., are going away, and we're seeing this changing as we go along. And most important, AI is becoming part of the work stream of an organization. So what we call enterprise integration. I won't walk you through this slide, but if you look at the top applications of AI, and you can, what you see is every sector is looking at AI. Maybe oil and gas less than maybe retail, but nevertheless. And sales and marketing continues to rule the roost in terms of AI applications in industry. So I think this is very clearly, and I would say that human resources, many of you are HR heads here, is the second in terms of the use of AI, and I'll maybe take a couple of examples as we go along. AI agents, why is AI becoming so much talked about in the last 6 months? Because we moved from traditional large learning models, which is the LLMs that we're talking about, to AI agents. And AI agents are agents, if you look at the classical Gen AI, as we used to call it, Gen AI used to support you, ask you questions, learn what you wanted, and be your worthy assistant. It's the Jeeves to the Bertie Wooster. But today an AI agent can typically predict what you would want and give you solutions rather than just expanding the problem. And when you look at the world of autonomous AI agents, which is both the dangerous, what Yuval Noah Harari calls the real danger for mankind, they can pretty much preempt what you're thinking and actually tell you how to think. And that's really what's happening. And a lot of people, including Amazon, are experimenting with these kind of tools. What is the future role of AI? That's something we'll keep talking about in future editions of even this World AI Summit. But scanning the environment, which means that without waiting for you to say, this is the environment in which I want you to operate, scanning the environment, planning and deconstructing, or when I say deconstructing, there are complex goals that all of us have, but how do you deconstruct that into addressable phenomenon? Executing the plan, which is leveraging digital resources, other agents, and in fact, there is a solution we are building from Hinduja Global Solutions for a very large client in the US, which is going to be supervised by a human being, but there is a master AI agent, and it's multiple subordinate agents, and the subordinate agents are literally like an organization. The AIs are running their own organization to deliver value for you. And that's the trend as we see it going along. And importantly, learning and adapting. Everything they do will learn from the previous experience, like all of us do, human beings, learning from our experiences, our mistakes, our successes. But this is something that AI will do by itself. So we need to be aware of that. Crafting the AI strategy, just the last part of this. But if you're an organization, a department, a function, a process, I think meeting AI aspirations, you have to shift from your little pilots that you're so proud about and do large-scale reimagination. So reimagining your process, your company, your country, if it is people like Prime Minister Modi, and then after the reimagination saying what processes must I now implement, which may be fundamentally different from what you did 2 years back, because it's built with AI at the core. And then say where is the human in the loop? That where does the human play a role, which is supervisory, and I'll talk about the role of human beings. Don't worry, jobs are not going to be lost. Some traditional routine jobs will be lost, but many, many more value-adding jobs will be created. And for the universities that are supporting this conference, I'm sure they're already working with their students to say, think of the future in terms of jobs and not the past and the present. So enterprise AI, was the last line here, needs strategic foundations and changes in infrastructure, governance, and ecosystems. What does it mean when I say reimagining your organization? It means, as I said, reimagining the how will you please the customer, and re-engineering the what, or the process by which you will be customer-focused or logistics-focused. Innovation, as I said today, last week there was this huge announcement which crashed all the IT stocks, which is Claude. And Claude used to be a tool, but Claude is now a solution. So whether it's legal or marketing, Claude has this complete toolkit which kind of builds on itself and does without any human intervention, and that's bound to happen. So what we are saying is that if you look at innovation like full application products like Claude and agentic AI, etc., redesigning the entire operation with AI everywhere and deliberate roles after reimagining assigned to humans. So human has to have a clear role to play and not be a kind of a dumb supervisor on top of AI. The human advantage, either as a knowledge worker, which means that participating in the process rather than owning the process, or a managerial function where somebody has to be the conscience keeper. Somebody has to keep track of what's happening and make sure that AI doesn't go off on its own trip. So I think that's going to be very important. Future, what I call, this is a word we have coined for our own company, which just listed on the Bombay Stock Exchange, called GTD Data Solutions. We call it the dual intelligence company. That there is a huge human intervention, training, good manpower, etc., which is where students in the back of the room can take heart from that. And of course, there is a complete awareness of where technology can support, enable, and transform. So we clearly feel, so what is a dual intelligence leader? Let me close with a couple of slides. Dual intelligence leaders are those who have a transformational leadership style. You can incorporate spirituality in it. The book I'm currently writing is on conscious leadership. That leaders who are conscious of every change happening in the world and will design the way they run their organizations based on that. And this is true for human resource leaders, it's true for marketing managers, it's very much true for CEOs. Innovation and the ability to see the future, which is what I'm trying to do in these 10 minutes. Getting the whole team connected to this new, singing from the same hymn sheet, as the Brits would call it, that everybody knows where we are going in the future and how do we participate in making that happen. And enhancing human intelligence with AI and systemic AI, which means that AI as a full system of change, creating new vistas for growth, for individuals, for teams, and for the organization. Measuring AI return on investment, I have no doubt that today the time has come when people will no longer be happy with anecdotal evidence. They will talk about what are the hard return on investment, which is time savings, productivity increases, cost reduction, etc., and soft ROI, which is what maybe we can discuss in the next couple of sessions, which is how does human resources feel that employee motivation, employee experience is improving because of artificial intelligence. Similarly, increasing innovation. The word innovation has been mentioned 3-4 times already. But how do you become a more innovative organization by harnessing the power of dual intelligence? And last but not the least, how do you enhance talent attraction? Because the Gen Zs of today are more motivated by here is a cool organization which is really using technology well than by the old generation organizations which have kind of put their head in the sand and not been aware of change. So I think this is the kind of construct that I wanted to give to you. And of course, we'll discuss this in detail in the panel. But just to close, in AI, and this is changing away from the corporate agenda, we are only limited by our imagination. I mean, my wife Uma and I were attending a Noah Harari session in New York last year. And he was talking about, and he writes about it in his book, Nexus, if you haven't read it. He talks about the morning coffee pot. The morning coffee pot is an inanimate object today, is lying out there, and you decide what coffee you want or tea you want. The AI-enabled coffee pot will know that you are up till 2 o'clock in the morning, consuming all kinds of liquids, and will know that you need much stronger coffee today. So the coffee it serves you will be designed based on your lifestyle. Similarly, if you look at predictive targeting, if you look at, Harari talks about the horror stories that if Lenin, the great dictator, had access to AI, he could probably target people not when they were showing some signs of being against him as a politician, but even a child in the womb by AI predicting that this person will grow up as anti-establishment. This is the kind of potential of AI. Myanmar is an example that he takes. I'm not vouching for authenticity, but if you know the story of Myanmar and the kind of massacre of the Rohingya community, Harari blames it purely on social media. And he says there was this elderly cleric who went on a rampage against this particular community. And, he was saying all kinds of things. And obviously, like in every society, there are these voices of sanity which were countering him and saying, hey, this is not true. Don't lambast an entire community based on some anecdotal evidence. But the social media algorithm is optimized for increasing eyeballs, marketing. So it kind of suppressed the voices of rationality and amplified the voice of the cleric, and the net result is a genocide. So this is what Harari says is the potential of letting AI literally run rampant on your processes, which is where dual intelligence comes in. And of course, if you look at Amazon, subscription buying, if you buy the new service, you will find that the stuff, your toothpaste shows up on your door one day before you need it. Because they're predicting your consumption of toothpaste, and toothpaste is just an example, but literally everything will be based on subscribing to you decide what I want and when I want it kind of service. Future of professional sports, I was actually with the NBA, many of you would know the NBA, National Basketball Association of the US, and asking them what are the cool technologies they're working on. This is last year. And he said, if you imagine this, a LeBron James or another 6 foot 9 inches kind of player charging down the court, to reach the basket takes him all of 3.5 seconds. In that 3.5 seconds, they're building technology where, based on the 4 people trying to kind of thwart him and block his passage towards the basket, it immediately analyzes their moving patterns. Will this guy move left or right or forward? Sends a neural message to his brain, and without him even thinking, he will swerve to the left or the right to maximize the opportunity of scoring a basket. This is science fiction. Why is it not getting implemented? For the simple reason that it's illegal. You can't, program a brain to follow your orders rather than the brain's orders. But I'm saying technology is possible. Something we need to be concerned about, we need to think about, and when we design applications, let's try and make it feasible that through this progress that you're seeing from Gen AI to agentic AI to artificial general intelligence to artificial superintelligence that you will see, and this will all happen in the next few months or couple of years, are we, as people in this room, as people in the planet, sane enough to accept that AI is inevitable, but we will make it work for us rather than we end up working for AI. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good morning, Ganesh. Chaitanya, how are you? That was an interesting presentation. Just yesterday I was seeing this article by Palki, on the first post. And she gave some startling figures about entry-level recruitment down by nearly 45% in the US and close to around 18-20% in India and across the South Asia region. And she was attributing that to AI, saying that a lot of entry-level jobs are pretty repetitive, don't require much, basic research, things like that. We remember the case study of Deloitte when they messed up with the report for the Australian government, which was done by AI, and there was a lot of hallucination, like you said, and the figures went crazy. What are your thoughts on that?
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but potentially 80% of entry-level jobs in technology in India can be eliminated. Because ultimately you're training people for programming, dead. Gen AI takes care of it for you, or ChatGPT will do it for you. Testing, no longer required. Migrations, automatic. Even today, an ERP implementation like an SAP or an Oracle implementation can be managed by AI. So in theory, only 20% of the work that a young entrant to the technology organization needs to be done. The rest will be done by technology. So again, the point I was making, Chetan, that you have to be very wary of the fact that this can happen. And how do we ensure that we redesign our organizations so that the entry-level people do more fulfilling work than just sitting and writing, maybe Python code. So I think that's something we have to be conscious about. I would hate to say, no, it's not going to happen. It will happen. We need to be prepared for it and prepare for the change. That's the idea.
Hi, Ganesh. I'm Wing Commander Naresh Taneja from Prisma AI. My question is a little futuristic. In your last slide, you said that we are gradually moving from...
Little louder, sir.
Moving from AGI to ASI. How far we are from singularity? That is first part. And second is, if AI becomes ASI and singularity, then our consciousness itself becomes an avatar, and do we need our human bodies then?
I would be the great visionary of the world if I answered that question. But you're right. I mean, singularity, today a lot of people are actually looking at singularity very seriously. Earlier it was just a nice thing to discuss over a drink. But I think today it's becoming real. And super intelligence, which is a time when AI literally runs organizations and the planet, is far away. Okay, but there is absolutely, I serve as an independent director on 10 public boards in India. But I always think that, my knowledge is technology, AI, managing people, etc. A lot of the support I give to, let's say, the CEOs of large companies like Honeywell, etc., is something that an AI could do in theory. So AI algorithms will replace people on the board at a very high level, will replace a lot of people in middle management, and of course, as I said to Chetan, will replace people at the lower level. So from that point of view, let's be prepared for what could come at this point.
My name is Sandeep Gag, and as HR leaders, we've heard of thought leadership and servant leadership. So I want to know, how as leaders, we are going to identify people using AI, who are going to be the bearers of thought leadership and servant leadership, because that's going to be the need of the hour. That's the need of the hour currently.
No, you're absolutely right. In fact, I'm an investor in 2 companies, one which does completely AI-enabled recruiting. So for instance, if you generally put out saying this is the kind of your job description, to use a standard terminology, the AI will go out and search every website possible from Naukri to LinkedIn to everywhere else, will actually conduct the first level interviews on email, saying that, look, hey, I'm representing this company and we'd like to know all this, and give you a shortlisted set of 4 candidates, and all this will happen maybe over a 3-day period. Then you decide that do I go with AI's recommendation or maybe I do the final interview. Similarly, there's a company that we have created ourselves called Skills Alpha. Skills Alpha is a completely AI-enabled platform for managing your career. So for somebody who's already a year in the organization, right from saying that, look, what do I want to be? Do I want to continue in sales? Do I want to go into service? And if so, what do I need to unlearn, reinforce, learn, and learn? Everything is managed by AI. So in a sense, it becomes the human resource head's absolute virtual assistant, which will do 90% of your work for you, but leave you to take the final decision. Hopefully take the final decision. If ASI comes, then of course, it'll take the decision also and say, boss, you just sit in the corner and I'll take care of it. That's how it is. Thank you.